It's International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. Today we pledge to end all instances of violent acts being perpetrated against the female members of our society. Regardless of a woman's circumstance or background, she should not be subjected to physical, sexual, spiritual or cultural violence. We need our women. They play an integral role in the development of families and our nation. That's our main focus in this Friday show. First up, we showcase how violence against women is affecting the growth of our economy, and we'll close the pages with the right to vote. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Stay with us. It promises to be an informative show.
A healthy and educated people living in a clean, natural environment, reducing crime, improving the justice system and governance, building a prosperous economy. It's not just a vision, it's reality. Learn about the plan. Join the vision.
My country, Jamaica, has a rich heritage and is very unique. If we all pull together, we can make it the place of choice to live, work, raise family, and to do business.
For more information on Vision 2030, call the Planning Institute of Jamaica or visit vision2030.gov.jm, your parish library, school library, or the Jamaica Information Service.
Good day, I'm Carrie Ann Smith, and this is your JIS News for Friday, November 25. Prime Minister Andrew Holness has directed all government ministries, departments and agencies that violence should not be used as a means of control over citizens. The instruction was given on Thursday at the launch of the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children. The Prime Minister asserted that while crime was a major challenge for the country, the response could not be more violence. He insisted that the path to overcome criminality must be paved by law and order and respect for citizens.
So government has to start with the institutions over which it has leverage and control. So government, the state, should not endorse or use violence as a normalized tool of control over its citizens. This is a policy direction that I have given to the government of Jamaica. Our police force must never be seen as a purveyor of violence against its citizens. And we are going to change that. Our state homes must not be perceived as purveyors of violence against our children. Our schools must not be seen as purveyors of violence against our children. And we must stand up as a society, as the government, and take control of the institutions that interact and provide services with our citizens.
In addition, the Prime Minister signaled the government's intention to keep national and international commitments to protect children.
As a pathfinder country, Jamaica is committed to providing comprehensive, coordinated, and multi-sectoral services for preventing and responding to violence. We are prepared to strengthen legislation to protect children from all forms of violence and exploitation by bringing all sectors together in a movement to end violence and provide children with a meaningful role at the heart of that movement. Through this partnership, we are making use of a key opportunity to take the lead in making a difference, and we owe it to our beloved children to do so.
Meanwhile, Minister of Gender Affairs Olivia Grange has announced that government will begin implementing the National Strategic Plan to eliminate gender-based violence next year. She made the announcement in her message marking today as the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. The minister's message was delivered by Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Alison McLean, at a church service to launch the day.
We are serious about tackling the issue of violence against women and girls. It is high on our agenda. We need your support to ensure that we succeed, to ensure that every woman and every girl is guaranteed their rights as human beings which includes protection from violence.
In other news, government is making strides in its push to develop food-based or gastronomic tourism. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett says the Tourism Linkages Council under Adam Stewart's chairmanship is already mapping out the food routes across Jamaica to help the country tap into the global multi-billion-dollar subsector.
They tell me that already they are pulling together all the critical offerings within the various areas, the various streams of food presentation, and building out festivals that are going to build a whole product for gastronomy.
Minister Bartlett was addressing business interests and tourism stakeholders at the recent groundbreaking for the $1 billion expansion of the Appleton Rum Estate Tour Complex in St. Elizabeth. The project, which is scheduled to be completed in time for the start of the 2017-2018 winter tourist season, includes the establishment of a gourmet restaurant serving the best in local cuisine. Minister Bartlett praised the JRA and Navy for undertaking the project, which he said was a signal of confidence in the economy.
But we see this as a new statement that Jamaica is about to make to the world as a center of gastronomy.
In the meantime, government will be revising the Tourist Board Act to strengthen the Tourist Board's role in ensuring that entities are licensed. The announcement was made by Minister Edmund Bartlett at a Trelawney Chamber of Commerce luncheon in Falmouth recently. He insisted that operators in the industry must adhere to the rules and regulations in order to maintain the strength of brand Jamaica.
And we are very strong on licensing, and we are going to be very strong on licensing. And we are going to be very strong on ensuring that the quality and the standards that will keep our destination top of mind to the visitor is maintained.
Starting next month, government will be implementing a new policy to ease the long wait at public pharmacies. Health Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton says the National Health Fund will be contracting private pharmacies to dispense drugs to persons who obtain prescriptions from state-run facilities.
You don't need to stay at the hospital to fill the prescription. You can go to a pharmacy in the town square, a designated pharmacy, which is contracted to carry out the service, and you will get your drugs rather than staying at the hospital. So you will have choices. You will have more distribution points.
The policy will be introduced as a pilot project to assess the long-term feasibility. Dr. Tufton was addressing the opening of a drug-serve pharmacy at the Kingston Town Health Center on Wednesday. Currently, doctors visit the facility 3 days per week. With the opening of the pharmacy, there will be a full-time pharmacist, a pharmacy technician, and a curative nurse. The health center, which caters to about 5,000 persons annually, will also be expanded early next year to offer dental, optical, screening, and other services. The expansion is to cost $40 million. And finally, the mayoral election for the municipality of Portmore will no longer be held on the gazetted boundaries of 2015, but will instead be held on the 2003 boundaries. The Electoral Office of Jamaica, EOJ, announced the decision in a statement released last night. The change stems from the Supreme Court ruling in the case of Lennox Hines versus the Ministry of Local Government, the Attorney General of Jamaica, and the Electoral Commission of Jamaica. The affected electoral divisions are Greater Portmore North in St. Catherine Southern and the Portmore Pines Division in St. Catherine East Central. This means that a total of 4,837 electors in 16 polling divisions will no longer be able to vote for the mayor and will be issued with a single ballot to vote for a councillor. The remaining 93,054 electors will be given 2 ballots to facilitate voting for a councillor and the mayor of Portmore. The 2016 local government elections will be held on Monday, November 28. Election day workers, police, and soldiers voted today. And that's it for GIS News Today. I'm Carrie Ann Smith. Thanks for watching.
I'm young, gifted, and violence-free.
I will stand up for peace. No matter what you say, you can't take that away.
I'm young, gifted, and violence-free.
I choose to live.
I choose to be me.
The government, in collaboration with a number of non-governmental entities, are working within communities to educate girls, boys, men and women on how to eliminate gender-based violence. Coming up, we'll look at one such program which is gaining some success in this fight.
He says that he loves me. He says that he could never imagine not having me around.
Almost 1/3 of women who have been in a relationship report some form of physical and/or sexual violence by their intimate partner.
See, he says that we were made to be together. For better or worse, it will always be him and I.
Victims or survivors of intimate partner violence are often reluctant to talk about it.
See, I adore thee would be too simple, and measuring soft kisses could never amount to the way that he truly feels. So he allows his tongue to spill out words like as he undresses me behind closed doors, doors that encloses our secrets, walls that whisper our hush-hush tales of how he loves me.
Anywhere I would have followed you.
Violence against women, we know, is a pervasive developmental issue. It results mainly in multiple negative health outcomes, and it reinforces underdevelopment.
It has also been determined that violence against women or gender-based violence increases the risk of contracting HIV.
The link between violence and HIV, it's complex, but it's influenced by biological, socio-cultural, and economic factors. Forced intercourse with an HIV-infected individual leads to HIV transmission. Because of the psychosocial stress that is put onto the woman, and it often leads to later engagement in high-risk behaviors.
Compounding the issue, experts say that in many countries, including our own, there is wide social acceptance of violence against women.
Every country in the world does it. Every media does that. Whenever you see something in the news that relates to violence against women, immediately the media covers her, not the perpetrator. What was she wearing? What's her moral fiber? What is she? The victim blaming that comes with that is immediate, and it crosses all cultural boundaries. This social acceptance of violence is a pressure on both boys and girls. What is it going to take for that acceptance, that tolerance, to change?
The Jamaica AIDS Support for Life, JASL, is looking to be a change agent. In 2013, JASL began a project called Expanding Gains to Decrease and Prevent Violence Against Women in the context of HIV and AIDS. It's funded by the United Nations Trust Fund to End Violence Against Women.
We expect that women and girls who are affected by HIV will have increased access to integrated VAW and sexual reproductive health services. We expect that women and girls who are affected by HIV have improved literacy and advocacy skills to respond to the issues that affect them.
Now in its third and final year, the project has engaged and provided training for over 1,200 women and girls.
Coming out of the workshops held with women from all key groups, issues were identified, as well as gaps in policies, legislation, and programs. And positions were taken on what the women needed to see happen as relates to improvement. Over the next few months, these issues, gaps, and positions will be taken by select women advocates to key duty bearers, including policymakers, during face-to-face advocacy meetings.
The experiences of these women and girls are also being used to inform a media campaign that was launched on March 2.
Our vision for women by women. And if you're on Twitter, hashtag #ZeroVaw, #ZeroHIV.
From this multimedia campaign, JASL expects that the reality of VAW and its effect on HIV will not only create widespread awareness, but also effect some change in attitude and behavior. Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube will be employed to get the message out to the various target audiences. Our revamped website will be a one-stop shop for all the pieces of the VAW HIV campaign, among other things.
JASL has also produced 3 videos to spread the message.
There's no excuse for violence. Our mothers and sisters don't ask to be raped or sexually harassed, even if they wear a short skirt.
If you see a woman or a girl being abused, report it.
Awareness has to lead to behavior change.
It is possible.
It is possible.
Our generation can stop violence against women and our girls.
Our generation can end violence against women and girls.
Truthfully, he says that I am special. And honestly, I believe he's being truthful. Because he doesn't just love me with his heart, he allows his love to splatter like art across my eyes and inner thighs, where my skin hides the permanent etchings of his touch. And I have never had anyone love me like this before. Never had anyone express their love with such passion. Never had anyone fasten their fist to my face in hopes of defacing any ounce of doubt that may exist within me. And I wear his scars like paint marks hidden beneath my clothes as reminders that even if the world never sees, he shows me. He shows me. He shows me with puddles of bright red blood and mottled rainbow-colored bruises that he will always love me. He loves me.
Say something, I'm giving up on you.
The public service is filled with a number of women, several of whom are not remaining stagnant in their posts, but are climbing to the top of the professional ladder, holding top positions. Watch this.
In 1944, Iris Collins became the first woman elected member of Parliament in Jamaica. Iris King served as the first female mayor of Kingston between 1958 and 1959. Another leading woman was Rose Leon, who became the first female cabinet minister in the 1953 Jamaica Labour Party administration. Mrs. Leon served as Minister of Health and Social Welfare. Madame Rose Leon, as she was called, again made history in 1972 when she served the People's National Party government as local government minister, the only Jamaican to serve as minister in 2 governments. Other female political firsts include Violet Nielsen, who served as Speaker of the House of Representatives between 1997 and 2003. There is also Syringa Marshall Burnett, the first female president of the Senate. Mrs. Marshall Burnett served from 1995 to 2007. The public service is another area of Jamaican life where women have shown their dominance. In 2007, Zayla McCalla became the island's first female Chief Justice. The head of the Supreme Court has had an extensive legal career in the public service beginning in 1976. Another legal first came on March 4, 2008, when Paula Llewellyn became the first woman to be appointed Director of Public Prosecutions. On January 16, 2015, Arlene Harrison Henry became the first woman in Jamaica to be appointed Public Defender. The constabulary force also has pioneering women in its ranks. In 1977, Superintendent Ione Ramsey Nelson became the first female motorcycle police. She bettered that first when she became the first woman to pass the rank of corporal in the traffic division, and later the first to head the division in the corporate area. On May 1, 2003, Javine Bent became the island's first female Deputy Commissioner of Police. A pioneer in the force, DCP Bent was the first woman assistant commissioner in charge of training and first female area commander. In the civil service, Carmen Campbell Belton was the first woman permanent secretary. In 1975, Carmen Paris became the first female Jamaican ambassador. She served in France. And in April 2008, Pamela Monroe Ellis became the island's first female Auditor General. Jamaica's women, leading the charge to develop nation status by the year 2030.
A number of women will be vying for parish council positions in Monday's local government election. This is a strong testament of the country's democratic process, which allows for women to compete for the highest office in the land. Women, come Monday, exercise your right to vote. Watch this next feature. Who are you voting for this election? Well, that's your secret. But knowing how to make sure your vote counts on election day is no private matter. But first, you must know where to cast your vote and how to do it. Voting? Easy. But you must follow the correct steps to ensure a smooth electoral process and a valid vote. So guess what? Stay with us as we take you through the voting process.
Before Election Day, you will need to confirm that you are actually registered and therefore eligible to vote. You will also need to find out your polling division and location of your polling station. Remember, you can only vote in the polling station that is designated for you. You can do this in 3 ways: by checking the printout of the voters list at your constituency office or post office, visiting the Electoral Office of Jamaica's website at www.ecj.com.jm, or by calling the EOJ toll-free at 1-888-991-VOTE. That's 1-888-991-8683. After confirming your registration, it's time to get ready to vote. Have your voter identification card at hand. You will need it on Election Day. If you have not yet collected it, please do so at your constituency office.
So it's Election Day. You know exactly where to cast your vote and you have your voter's identification card with you. Go to your designated polling station and join the line like I have done and wait until it's your turn at the voting booth.
It is often said that the early bird catches the most worms, but sometimes being not so early works in your favor. Most Jamaicans vote during the first 2 hours of polling and the last hour before the polls close, resulting in long lines. So if you want to avoid the wait, it's a good idea to vote during the off-peak hours between 10 a.m. and 4 p.m.
So now it's your turn to cast your vote. Wait for the presiding officer to acknowledge you.
Next person, please. Good day, sir.
Good day.
May I please have your name and your voter's ID?
Adrian Atkinson.
Thank you very much.
Forgot to bring your voter's ID card? You will still be allowed to vote once your name can be found on the voters list and your identity can be confirmed. However, the process to confirm you is quite lengthy, so to avoid delays, remember to bring your card on Election Day. Once your identity has been confirmed and your name has been found on the list, the presiding officer will then examine your fingers and hands for any traces of electoral ink using the integrity lamp. If your polling station is using EVBIS, that is the Electronic Voter Identification and Ballot Issuing System, you will be asked to place a specific finger on a fingerprint scanner. This scanner uses your fingerprint to confirm your identity.
May I check your fingerprints, please?
Once your identity has been verified, you'll be issued a ballot. Listen carefully to the instructions given because if you don't record your vote correctly, it may not be counted.
Mr. Atkinson, you are eligible to vote.
Thank you.
This is your ballot paper with the names of 2 candidates, Matthew Marks and Luke Johns. Please go behind the voting booth and place your X beside the symbol for the candidate of your choice using the pencil provided. I am folding your ballot paper twice. Please return it to me folded in the same manner to protect the secrecy of your vote.
Once you have been issued your ballot, it's time to vote. Go behind the voting booth and using the pencil provided, clearly mark an X in the space beside the symbol of the candidate of your choice. Refold the ballot twice as instructed by the presiding officer, leaving the flap out to protect the secrecy of your vote. Do not show your vote to anyone. Otherwise, your ballot will be declared spoiled and you will have to vote again.
Thank you, Mr. Atkinson. Check, serial number return. Mr. Atkinson, please dip your right index finger in the ink. This way.
Be sure to watch while your unopened ballot is placed in the ballot box.
Once you have witnessed your ballot being placed into the ballot box, the voting process is complete. You should now leave the polling station in a peaceful manner.
Next person, please.
Congratulations, you've just voted. But here are a few more things to keep in mind on Election Day.
You can only vote if your name is on the voters list. If you make a mistake, you may request another ballot from the presiding officer. Your original ballot will be spoiled and you will be issued a new one. The use of cellular telephones or image capturing devices is strictly prohibited inside the polling stations. You may not remove ballot papers from the polling station. Your ballot is secret. It should not be shown to anyone. For further information on the voting process, visit the ECJ's website at www.ecj.com.jm or call toll-free at 1-888-991-VOTE. That's 1-888-991-8683.
Your vote is your voice. Make it count. The Ministry of Culture, Gender, Entertainment and Sport, through the Bureau of Gender Affairs, has joined the rest of the world in observing International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. The observance creates awareness on various types of gender-based violence, as well as measures that have been developed and implemented to address these issues. That includes how men and boys can play a more active role in eliminating violence against women. The observance also shines the light on women and girls who have faced violence. In support of this global initiative, the Bureau of Gender Affairs is pushing a local strategy aimed at galvanizing efforts and promoting partnerships to strengthen measures to end gender-based violence. This observance continues with 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Activities will include the commemoration of World AIDS Day on December 1, International Day of Persons with Disabilities on December 3, and the International Human Rights Day, December 10. This is our nation. Let's promote gender equality and gender-based peace as we seek to become the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business. We've come to the end of Jamaica Magazine for this Friday. Thanks for spending time with us. Remember to keep up to date with the latest government information. Join us online at gis.gov.jm or watch our programs on our YouTube channel. And be sure to check out our social media platforms. You may also catch a new edition of Jamaica Magazine tomorrow on this very station. Until then, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Do take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.